At just the age of 17, Lamine Yamal is already a freak of nature.
Messi wasn't doing what this kid's been doing at 17 and 16 years old.
I've not seen a player like that for 7 or 8 years.
When you have a player with that kind of balance, skill and flair and attitude, what I love about him is his character. Not only does he walk the walk, he talks the talk as well at 17.
We're watching one of the most gifted players football has ever seen. A 17-year-old playing like he's in his prime. A 17-year-old who is already the face of Barcelona. A 17-year-old who is already the star of Spain. Yamal is doing things Messi, Ronaldo, and even Neymar weren't doing at his age. He is already the biggest thing happening in football right now. He literally has the world under his feet, and he's not stopping anytime soon. He talks the talk, and he definitely backs up everything he says, just like a certain someone. But that's only a part of the story. Because as good as Yamal is, there is something scary that no one is noticing. And while the world is busy celebrating his magic, we forget he's still a child. When you really watch Yamal play, you begin to notice something. The way he dribbles, the way he floats past defenders, how the ball just sticks to him, the way he pulls gravity and the game towards him in the big moments. It's all starting to look a little too familiar. I could swear we've seen this story before, and the last time it looked this good, it didn't end the way we hoped. If you had to build the perfect player, combining Cristiano's swagger, Neymar's dribbling, and Messi's unpredictability, you'd get Lamine Yamal. I know, it sounds crazy, I thought the same too, but what Yamal has shown us this season has never been done before, at least not by any 17-year-old. Just look at the goals he scored in the Champions League semi-final, or that goal and assist he dropped to win the Espanyol games. He literally handed Barcelona the trophy at 17. So yeah, let's call it what it is. Lamine Yamal is not human. And I know, we've said things like that before about so many players, but this feels different.
He's special, he's a genius.
How good is this guy at 17 years old?
I don't know. I think he's the best player in the world, to be honest.
Is he the best player on the planet right now? All evidence points to yes.
While other young talents take time to grow, Lamine Yamal is doing it right now. At just 17, this kid isn't just surviving at the top level, he is the top level. He's carrying Spain. He's the best in Barcelona, he's dictating play and performing on the biggest stages of football. In the Champions League quarter and semi-final, he scored in a European Championship semi-final, and he scored in El Clásicos. This has never been done before. Just so you know, at 16, Messi was still in the academy. Cristiano hadn't even debuted professionally, and Neymar, he was still playing youth football in Brazil. But Yamal? He is already doing it under the brightest lights. You need to watch how he drifts between the lines, the way he manipulates the ball, the calmness, the composure, like football is happening in slow motion around him. 1 minute he's hugging the touchline, the next, he's carving up 3 defenders on the inside like he's playing 5-a-side on grass. But you know what? I'm not surprised, because when we go all the way back to one photo in 2007, then it all begins to make sense.
Almost 17 years ago, legendary soccer player Lionel Messi posed for pictures with a small baby, who was visiting a Barcelona locker room as part of a charity calendar photo shoot. Who could have guessed that 16 years later, that baby would grow up to be Lamine Yamal, the youngest male goal scorer in European Championship history?
I mean, it almost feels like destiny. Call it a transference of power or a baptism from one great to another soon-to-be. But there's no denying how good Yamal is. You could kind of see it when he was a kid in La Masia as well. But that's not all, because when you look at the stats, he's broken more records in 2 seasons than some players do in a career, and he's doing it in arguably the most pressured shirt in world football. But what's even more terrifying, he makes it look easy, and we love it. We're obsessed with it, because when he touches the ball, anything can happen. But here's where things start to feel a little too familiar. Because as much as Lamine Yamal is breaking records, dazzling defenders, and rewriting football history, we've seen this movie before. And the last time the world celebrated a teenager this way, we witnessed a tragic story of a prince who never became a king.
Persona que más te haya inspirado.
Mi madre.
¿Quién era tu deportista favorita en tus inicios?
Neymar.
This is Lamine Yamal. This is Neymar. This is Lamine Yamal. This is Neymar again. If you're watching closely, and I mean really closely, you'll see something. Something flashy, something audacious, and worst of all, something worrying. His idol is Neymar. His style of play, just like Neymar. The showmanship, the expression, the chaos. He's being worshipped the same way Neymar was. You see, when Neymar arrived in football, he didn't ease his way in. He exploded into it. At just 18, he wasn't playing like a prospect, he was playing like a headline. From day one, he had it all. The flair, the chaos, the brilliance. Neymar was a highlight reel event. He was the stuff dreams were made of, the peak of our childhood days, and the wonder kid the world couldn't take its eyes off. Now, fast forward to today. Tell me, that doesn't sound exactly like Lamine Yamal. Because just like Neymar, Yamal isn't just there to pass and move with the team. He's here to entertain, to electrify, to make you feel something every single time he touches the ball. He plays with rhythm, with defiance, with poise. You can see the similarities clearly. The dragbacks, the feints, the no-look passes, the impossible goals. This is art. Beautiful football at its peak right at the feet of a young kid. But the resemblance doesn't stop there. Yamal has never shied away from it. He said it himself, Neymar is his idol, his blueprint, his inspiration. The way he stands before taking a man on, the way he smiles just before doing something outrageous, the way he treats defenders like they're part of the theatre. It's deja vu all over again. And just like Neymar, Lamine Yamal has been blessed by the hands of a god as well. Neymar was anointed by Messi on the pitch, but Yamal, he was anointed before he could even walk. As if destiny reached out early and said, "You're next." And that's the most poetic, but perhaps the most terrifying part of all. Lamine Yamal is following the same path. He has the hairstyle and the flair. He already has the global attention. The magazine covers, the internet obsessions, the heir to the throne branding. All before he's even turned 18. And this is where it starts to get scary. Because we've seen this story before. We've seen what happens when this path is left unchecked. Because Neymar, for all his glory, talent and skills, was always an almost Ballon d'Or, almost the face of football. He was almost the legend he was supposed to be for Brazil. Not because he lacked talent, but because of something much bigger. And with Yamal, we might be watching the same story, but in a different timeline. And if we're being honest, it's happening even faster this time. To be fair to Neymar, he wasn't a fraud. He was a victim of timing. Because of what Messi and Ronaldo did during their era, you'd have to be an even greater alien to claim the face of football from them. But the crazy thing is, Neymar did have what it took to surpass them, but for some reason, we'll be exposing now, he never became the guy. And that's where this gets scary. When you start to break down Neymar's career down to his habits, decisions, the patterns, you begin to see echoes of something forming. Something that now feels a little too close to Lamine Yamal. Let's start with this. Neymar loved the spotlight. Whether it was the game, the media, or the parties, Neymar was always performing. At Santos, he was a king, winning the Puskás Award at just 19, dazzling in front of millions, and he thrived on it. Then came Barcelona, and for a while, he actually looked like he was ready to take over the world. But that was Messi's team, so no matter how good Neymar was, he would never be number one. So he decided to leave, chasing a new spotlight, chasing his own story, only to end up at PSG under an even bigger spotlight hugger, Kylian Mbappe. Now, let's be clear, this is not Yamal's story, or at least not yet. He's still just a kid, finding his feet, figuring things out. But that's where it is scary, because if Neymar, one of the most talented players we've ever seen, could be drawn into that need, the need to be the man, what stops Yamal from heading the same way? I mean, in Barcelona right now, he's sharing the spotlight with other elite players like Pedri and Rafinha. Already, the world is calling him the next big thing. But since he adores Neymar so much, you could kind of see why it is scary. And we haven't even mentioned the money yet. Because beyond the fame, Neymar's move to PSG was one of the biggest financial transfers in football history. And for all his love of the game, the deal showed one thing very clearly. Neymar didn't just want the crown, he wanted the cash too. And Yamal? He's not there yet. But we'd be naive to not admit he's still a teenager surrounded by parents, agents, advisors, and one of the most powerful names in football management, Mendes. And if you know Mendes, you know exactly how this goes when it comes to money. That's the concern. Because right now, Yamal has everything to be the best. But in football, it only takes one wrong turn, one bad choice to lose it all. If you're swayed in even the slightest way by the wrong advice, then it might all be over. And unfortunately for Neymar, when he chose money over his career, that was the beginning of the end. But even when the problem is not money or ego, there are still two more reasons to be worried. These were the same reasons that affected Rooney, and Yamal might be walking that very same path. Every generation has a kid, a wonder, a name that echoes through headlines before it ever echoes through history. There was a time when the biggest hype in the world was Wayne Rooney, and to be fair, he did live up to the expectation in a way. But have you ever wondered why he retired at the age of 35? Rooney made his professional debut with his local club Everton at age 16, becoming the youngest goal scorer in Premier League history in his first season, playing over 77 games for Everton within 2 years. He later went on to make his big move to Manchester United just 2 years later, eventually playing over 550 games for Manchester United. Sounds familiar, right? A wonder kid burst onto the scene looking the part, and all of a sudden, he has much game time. But the truth is, when you really zoom out, the minutes Lamine Yamal has accumulated are insane. Yamal has played over 100 games and counting for Barcelona, and he's not 18 yet. In comparison, that was more minutes than Rooney had over his entire Everton career and his first 2 seasons for Man United. Yes, he's doing fine. Yes, he looks electric. But we've seen this before. Wayne Rooney was equally a superb wonder kid, but by age 31, he was done. He eventually retired at age 35, but true fans will tell you he was actually done by 31 because his body had taken a huge toll from playing too much too soon. And that is exactly what we are seeing right now in Yamal. But you know what? Rooney might be far-fetched. Let's look at 3 more La Masia products, in Ansu Fati, Gavi and Pedri. Before Yamal, Ansu Fati was deemed the last teenage savior of Barcelona, given the heavy Messi number 10 shirt. Ansu Fati made his debut at 16 years and 298 days. And just like Yamal, he was already scoring in the Champions League for fun. At 17, he's being compared to Messi. The club called him the future and gave him the shirt right after Messi left. But he never got a future because his body couldn't keep up with the minutes. He played too many games, too much intensity, and eventually got injured. Multiple knee surgeries later, and Fati, once the crown jewel of Camp Nou, is now struggling to stay fit or even get into the team. And the same thing is happening to Gavi, another kid who was praised for playing like a 30-year-old in a teenager's body, now sidelined with a devastating ACL injury after racking up over 100 games before turning 20. Even Pedri, who once ran the midfield for Spain at the Euros, missed months with recurring injuries after playing 73 games in a single season at 18. Do you see the pattern? These aren't lazy players. They're not mentally weak, they're just overused, overexposed, and underprotected. And that's not just at Barca. It happened to Jack Wilshere, Alexandre Pato, even Neymar, for all his brilliance, never reached the heights he was destined for. Why? Because football idolized him instead of managing him. And now, he is past his best at 34 in a Santos shirt. And now, we look at Lamine Yamal, the most talented of them all, already being played like a seasoned pro, already carrying the responsibility of a veteran, already showing signs of, let's be honest, early fatigue. These are matches where you see it, a slight drop in focus, the risky pass instead of the right one, like the Inter Milan game, moments where it feels like the brand is playing, more than the boy. And this is not a criticism, this is a plea. Because Lamine Yamal doesn't deserve to be another chapter in this book of wasted wonders. He's too good for that. But talent alone won't save him. So the real question isn't how good he is, it's this. Will his team and the world be able to give him what Neymar never got? The world doesn't need another fallen wonder kid. It doesn't need a story about what could have been. Another career defined by burnout, pressure, and injuries before it ever reaches its peak. What Lamine Yamal needs right now isn't more praise. What he needs is time. Time to make mistakes. Time to grow. Time to just be a kid. He needs coaching that prioritizes his development over his match stats. He needs more rest days than press tours. He needs teammates who shield him and mentors who teach him. And most importantly, he needs a system that doesn't treat him like a brand before he's even finished becoming a player. Because talent like his doesn't come around often, and when it does, we have 2 choices. We either protect it, or we exploit it. We either let it blossom, or we choke it with our expectations. The world doesn't need another kid who fades out like Pato did. We've seen what happens when football chooses the latter, and we cannot afford to do that again. Because Lamine Yamal, he could be the greatest of all time, but only if we let him grow into that at his own pace. I love Lamine Yamal, and I hope to see him at the very top. But as much as we celebrate his talent, we need to protect his journey, because the scary part isn't that he reminds us of Neymar, it's that the world around him does too. Do you believe Yamal will fulfill his potential? Let us know what you think in the comments. If you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss a story like this. And if you thought this was wild, wait until you see the video on your screen right now. We'll see you there in a sec.